is that everybody's just not gonna dig you.
The Real was a daytime show staple for years because everyone just couldn't get enough of the show, but in a shocking turn of events, it got canceled after its 8th season. So many people may have claimed that the show got canceled because of its ratings, but it turns out that the real reason has much deeper roots. Since The Real premiered in 2013, it has gotten some major attention and awards to go along with that. Needless to say, it was an amazing show, and its cancellation really shocked everyone, myself included. What's so crazy about The Real's cancellation is that none of the producers of the show ever spoke about why the show was really canceled, so we were left to speculate. But our speculations weren't that far off. A source had claimed that part of the reason why Warner Brothers decided to cut the show was because of its low views. Apparently, since The Real aired in 2013, it always had terrible numbers. But then with each season, the show's numbers kept getting worse. Apparently, it got so bad that they were only able to generate around 300,000 views. And for a show in the daytime talk show industry, that was a terrible figure because it kept the show right at the bottom of the daytime talk show barrel. However, another insider from the show had something completely different to share. Just a few months before we all got the news of The Real's cancellation, a different insider had claimed that the show wasn't really getting canceled and that everything that was being said about its cancellation was just a rumor. Well, it's safe to say that one of these insiders wasn't being honest. Now the real question is, was the other person honest as well? Or is there something they were desperately trying to hide? When The Real made its debut, it was one of the first of its kind, a daytime show with a panel full of women of color. The chemistry that these ladies gave was unmatched, but was their chemistry the real deal, or was it just for the show? There have been rumors about some very dramatic feuds and shakeups that occurred within the panel for years that may have also played a part in the show getting canceled. The first was the case of Tamar Braxton. Tamar was part of the original panel of The Real alongside Tamara Maori, Lonnie Love, Adrian Bailon, and Jeannie Mae Jenkins. After 3 seasons of hosting the show, Tamar was suddenly fired. No one really understood why this happened, and just like the show being canceled, the real reason for Tamar's firing was never revealed, but there was always side talk about why she was forced to leave. Apparently, the other co-hosts of the show found it hard to work with Tamar because she was a very difficult person to get along with, and it only kept getting worse. It got so bad that something needed to be done, and that something was for Tamar to leave the show for good. Rumor has it that Lonnie Love had a hand in Tamar getting fired, but nothing was ever really confirmed, not even still today. Tamar didn't take getting fired from the show well. If anything, made her fall into a deep depression. According to her, after things went down with The Real, she knew that nothing was normal anymore. She couldn't shower, she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, she couldn't tell what day of the week it was. She just didn't care. What's crazy is that after Tamar's departure, more drama that shocked everyone was about to hit the show. After serving as a guest co-host of the show in 2019, once her contract was up, Amanda Seales decided to leave the show for good. And for the reason why she left is so crazy. In her words, she left because The Real was breaking her spirit. Now you have to wonder what was going on behind the scenes that Amanda needed to leave so badly. Apparently, while she was on the show, she was being asked to not talk about certain things. She never actually went into detail about what these things were, but her decision to not talk about these things made her feel like she was betraying her people. On top of not being able to talk about certain issues, not everyone was comfortable with her being on the show. According to her, some people felt scared of her and her black womanness, and she didn't want to be somewhere she wasn't completely accepted, a place where she didn't receive 100% honesty. All of this and probably more led to Amanda's decision to leave The Real. She refused to stay in a work environment where her voice and the voice of her coworkers weren't being respected by the people at the top just because of their skin color, which was extremely unfair. A month after Amanda resigned from The Real, another departure hit the show, and this was arguably the worst of all. After 7 years of co-hosting The Real, Tamara Maori also decided to quit the show. According to Tamara, the reason why she decided to leave The Real after 7 years was because she was taking on more projects and wanted to have more time to spend with her family outside of work. Although Tamara decided to take the easy road out and give no specific detail about what really went down before her decision to leave the show. An inside source from the show revealed there was actually more to it than Tamara was obviously letting on. It was no secret that out of all the panelists present on The Real, Tamara earned the most money. After her, Lonnie was the second best paid panelist, and then Jeannie and Adrian earned a third of what both women were earning. Obviously, this didn't sit well with either Jeannie or Adrian, and they both wanted a raise once they had won the daytime show Emmy, but they never got one. Apparently, both Lonnie and Tamara refused to back Adrian and Jeannie up, and it got so bad that they even threatened to stage a walkout because the lines between both sets of ladies were clearly drawn. But that wasn't all. It seems like Tamara wasn't really who we all thought she was. According to an inside source from the show, Tamara wasn't keeping it real with the rest of us. Allegedly, she has Republican views, and she always avoided speaking about her support for Donald Trump on air. So many people believe that after 2 of the original panelists left the reel, the show wasn't the same as it used to be. And as COVID came into the picture, I guess you could say that this was the final straw for the reel. For Lonnie, COVID was what ended up killing the show for good. Even though the cast and crew of the show did everything they possibly could, it just wasn't enough to save the show. With them losing the audience and having to go virtual, it just wasn't the same anymore, and deep down, I think we all knew this. The good thing is, despite the show's ending, everyone seems to be grateful for it airing in the first place. For Garcelle Beauvais, who joined the Reel's panelist in its 7th season, being on the show gave her the chance to grow. Outside the fact that she grew a lot on the show, it was also a fun experience for her and so many of us who actually watched the show. Even though everyone claimed to have had a great time on the show and that the reason the show ended was because of COVID, I can't help but wonder if that's the actual truth. Do you guys think that COVID was the real reason why the reel ended, or do you think there's a lot more to the story? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.